Hello! So, I thought I would make a little tutorial to show you how to do the Icelander sweater. I am gonna demonstrate version A, and I'm doing that with a lot thicker yarn and needles, just so you can see things better. I'm using Vams by Derma. It's just a really nice thick yarn that I want to use, and I also, full disclosure, I'm using Zings from Knit Pro that I was given by Knit Pro ages ago to review, and I just have to disclose that. But yeah, use any needles you want, but use something that is quite magic loop friendly. So basically what you should have done before kind of this video starts is casting on for the back and working the first purl row where you place markers in the cast on edge. This is what I mean by placing it onto the CO edge. It's attached here, not on the cable, but here. And the reason for that will become apparent very soon. So you got your wrong side facing. This is your working yarn coming out here. And you are to place a marker, I believe. So I'm going to place one, just make sure it's closed. And backwards loop cast on 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now you're going to do something a little bit strange. We're going to pull up this needle like you're doing magic loop. I don't say this in the pattern, but it might actually be easier for you if you pull it out somewhere between your backwards loop stitches, just so that you can avoid getting any weird snags in your work. So just do that. You don't have to. You can pull it all the way out if you want, but I quite like doing it this way. Personal preference and all. So you got your purl side here. You're going to place another marker before you start casting, or picking up stitches, I should say. Now, the pattern says pick up and purl. I would actually suggest picking up and purling through a different method than simply putting the stitches onto the needle and then purling. This is just going to be easier for you, but obviously you choose whichever method you prefer. But I like to do this one, which is a little bit like backwards knitting in a way, which I actually don't know how to do. So we're going to borrow this other needle and start picking up stitches. So the first one is usually a bit fiddly, but I'm sure we can do it. Just poke your needle through here, get the working yarn through both plies if we can. This is a bit of a loosely plied yarn, so it can be a bit tricky. There we are, perfect. So I'm just doing the smallest size here just for demonstration. So I'm going to keep doing that for 21 stitches, and there should be 21 stitches all the way up to this marker. Sorry, you can't see anything. All the way up to this marker. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to demonstrate a few of them, and then I'm leaving you to it. So picking up a working yarn through these loops. You may have a different casting method than me, so it may look a little bit different. But generally, just make sure you have one stitch picked up here for every stitch that you cast on further down. And since I can't seem to do this within frame, I might just do it off frame entirely. Oh, this is why I don't do tutorials, you guys. Now I have picked up the 21 stitches for the particular size I'm doing from where I cast on the steek to the marker that was attached to the cast on edge. So hopefully you can see that. Very important that you don't pick up from the actual steek. That's something you don't want to do. The steek is for the armhole. This is for the back. This is for the front. And so now, well, we did technically pick up in purl, so we should be wrong side facing. You need to place a marker, so I'm going to just pick one and do a 7 stitch backwards loop cast on again. This is for the front steek. Now it's not because you're making a cardigan, this is actually for the neckline, so this is going to be for, well, the opening where your head goes in eventually, but then you have to cut it open. So 4, 5, 6, 7. So there. I'm going to place another marker because the pattern tells me so. And yeah, very careful caution here. Don't twist. I did that once. Wasn't nice. So don't twist your work now. Make sure it's straight all the way. All the way. No twisting. You do not want this to twist. Oh my god. Do not. So I'm going to pull out the cable a bit just to help us here. make sure it's still not twisted. And yeah, looks straight. So we can jump all the way over here. You can see the likelihood that things will twist. They won't. It's fine. And then start picking up 21 stitches from this marker all the way down to the end. There should be 21 stitches here, according to how you place the markers on the purl row at the beginning. So I'm just going to start by doing that. Again, I prefer to do the usual pick up. And here we have a little loop that we can find our working yarn through. Oh, it's a bit fiddly, the first one. Come on, come on. There we are. Put that on the needle. Give it a gentle tug. You don't want to break your yarn. Also, been there, done that. And next one, poke your needle in. And fetch that working yarn. Just make sure it's no gaps here. I think you're good now. So now you can just pick up the way you have done so far. Don't have to tension every time. It's just in the beginning that's quite important. There we are. And yeah, I'm gonna keep on picking up these 21 stitches off camera because I do it twice as fast and I don't have to look through the camera lens. So I'll see you when I'm at the very edge here. And so now this is what the work should look like. I have picked up stitches all the way to the end here. This is where there will be another steek later on. You might want to just put a little marker here just in case, so that you don't mistake the front and the back for one another. The magic loop should do the trick and stay between, but just in case it doesn't, you might want to just keep a little marker there. So we're gonna start knitting. Before that, actually, you can remove these markers that are attached to the edge. So you can take that one off, and this one. Don't remove the ones on the cable. You don't want to do that. So we're gonna knit according to the pattern to one stitch before the marker. So you can see why it's important to not remove it. So I'm gonna just work quickly to that marker. You may also struggle with the backwards loop stitches here. They will get very tight. So in order to make them, you know, follow onto the needle, you might want to pull out magic loop style at the steek here, just to give you some more workspace on the cable. Just pull out anywhere, it doesn't really matter. Now you should have a bit more wriggle room so that you can shove your backwards loop stitches from the neck up to the needle and it will be easier to work. Just hope you're not as a tight knitter as I am. So you can see what happens here. These are probably going to meet soon, and that's why it's good to have that little kind of safety marker here. And we are one stitch before the marker, as we should be, and that's when we do a make one. It doesn't really matter if you make one left or make one right as far as I'm concerned. We're going to just do make one left because they're easier. There we are. So we made a stitch and then we knit the next. And the thing is, all steek stitches, literally all steek stitches, are purl 1, knit 5 if you're working them from the right side. Obviously if you work them from the wrong side, it's knit 1, purl 5, knit 1. Oh, these backward loop stitches, they're never very easy to work the first time around. So I'm going to just pull a bit, make sure we can get our needles in here. Purl 1. Oh, tight knitters, light a candle for us. Knit 2, 3, 4, and 5, and we purl 1 last stitch here, and then we knit 1 and we do another make 1. So we're gonna see if we can find the strand under here. It's a bit tricky when it's from a pickup, but it should be fine. There we are. So we made a stitch and we can knit to the end. And we're gonna knit to the end of the front here and get to that steek that we made earlier. Sometimes the pattern will simply say that you steek. Steek just means that you work the steek. So purl and you knit, goodness me. And yeah, so we're halfway into the steek now. I'm just gonna change around my magic loop here just so we can get to the other end of the steek. Knit 1. Okay, there's 1 stitch left, so that's probably the one I'm gonna purl. And here is a marker that we are now going to name beginning of round. Okay, so we increase 2 stitches and this is your beginning of round, and this is when you're going to start working from the chart. So I'm going to do that. I think seems a lot for a demonstration, but whatever. So you're working from the chart. Some like to actually join the yarn in the steek. You can do that, and then you don't have to weave in the end because you're going to cut it off anyway. This is a demonstration, so I don't really care. So I'm just going to start following the chart basically, which is starts by knitting 2 in the contrast color and then knitting 2 in the white, and then 1 contrast color and then white. So I'm going to keep doing that until I'm at the end of the row, and then I will see you for the last steek. So I have pretended to work a row of color work here. I didn't actually follow the chart, but I've sort of done it to the end so that you can see just this is where we're going to be at. And you're going to make a steek, but obviously it's going to be a 2-color steek because that's what you're working with here. So you're backwards looping. You can just do every other stitch basically. So 1, 2. Oh yeah, and that marker that you had before is just now your steek marker essentially. How many do I have now? 4, 5, 6, and 7. And it really doesn't matter how you knit this steek in terms of colors. If you want to do, you know, this order or the other order, just alternate them when you're doing color work rows, and then you just do it in plain white when you're doing plain white rows. It's as simple as that. So we're placing 1 more marker now, and we are ready to basically join in the round. So yeah, just join in here, work around, and whoops, just do that. That's the traditional way of doing it. You could also just pull out mid here, either is fine, and just start knitting from the chart again. So that's awfully tight. And you're just going to keep doing that till you get to the neckline. So you're at the neckline now, so just pick up a stitch, and you want to, according to the chart, make that black or in the contrast color, and then next one's white, and then you just work the steek. And again, it doesn't really matter exactly how you do the colors. I'm just going to do what makes sense. So I'm going to do next one pearl black and knit white, black, knit white, knit black, knit white, and pearl one black. Now, what's really important now is that you follow the pattern where you begin the chart, because you're not necessarily going to start on column 1. And this is important because you want to end up at the very end here before your steek marker. You want to end up at stitch 6. This is very important. So just make sure you get that right and follow the instructions for your given size. And that's it. Then you just keep working the round, and it will be easier to work in the round as you go. This whole magic loop nonsense that you're seeing here, it will be a lot easier the more rows you've got. And you can also cut the neckline steek as soon as you bound that off, provided you just jump ahead in the pattern and do the crochet reinforcement. That's entirely up to you. I got impatient, so I did that. But yeah, so it looks a bit weird at first, but if it is, then you're doing it right.